welcome to today's live English lesson here on the Speak English with Vanessa YouTube channel. I'm so glad that you're here to enjoy English, to practice and use English. If you're here live, make sure that you're writing comments. I'll try to give some feedback as best as I can. If you're not watching live, feel free to write a comment using today's idiom. If you would like to join me live, we have live lessons every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. EST. EST is the New York Standard Time. And the best way to get a notification is to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And there's a little bell icon. And when you click the bell, you'll get a notification that says, ding! Vanessa has a live English lesson right now. And that way you never miss it. You can come and join me. I think it will be a great time today. We're going to talk about a useful idiom that I used last week. So I hope that for you, you'll be able to use this idiom by the end of our lesson, and you'll feel more comfortable understanding when other people use it as well. Thanks everyone who's here live. Vivian in Canada. Jorge in Brazil, hello. Sully, welcome. Welcome. Franz, glad you're here. Eliza in Spain. Tauli, Algeria, wonderful. Valent in Hungary, in Qatar, in Vietnam. Wow, you guys are awesome. Are you ready to learn a new idiom today? Maybe you have an idea what it already means. Maybe you don't. I want to ask you a question. First of all, let's see, what are you gonna do this weekend? This is a basic question, simple question. It's Thursday today, so maybe you already have plans for the weekend, maybe you don't. What are you gonna do this weekend? For me, I have no idea what I'm gonna do this weekend. My plans are up in the air. Ooh. So I want to know for you, what are you going to do this weekend? Maybe you already know. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you have no plans yet, or you think I'll just do whatever I want to do when the weekend comes. What are you going to do? Diana says, I'm going to work. Zulairika says, I have no idea. Kushal says, I have no idea too. Oh, yes. So if you have no idea what you're going to do this weekend, we can use today's idiom. Let's say, my plans are up in the air. Up in the air. This means, I don't know. There's not a decision yet. It is undecided. So let's imagine gravity. Gravity helps things to go down to the earth. It doesn't usually keep things up in the air. So if something is up in the air, it's not certain. It's not fixed. It's floating, kind of like a balloon. It's floating around. It's not decided. So it is up in the air. We can say, I'll write this here. My plans are up in the air. Let's imagine like a balloon here. Woo. My plans are up in the air. It doesn't mean that I actually plan to go up in the air. I'm going to go in a hot air balloon, or I'm going to go in an airplane. No, it doesn't mean that. It means I don't know. It's undecided yet. It's undecided which thing I'm going to do this weekend. A lot of you have plans that are already decided. Oh, yes. So Rose says, I'm playing in a drama production at my church this weekend. Or Martin, hello. Martin says, I'm going to visit my family for Easter. Federica, hi Federica, says, I'm going to go to my sister's for a family get-together. So a lot of you already have a plan. So let's make this negative. How can we make this sentence negative? Because a lot of you know what you're going to do. Your plans are not up in the air. Simple, right? We just add the word not. My plans are not up in the air. How can we use this for English? Anam has a great sentence that he's written here. It is, my plans for learning English are always up in the air. Oh, so this means you don't have a clear path for how you're going to learn English. You're always trying something else. It's not decided. You've got a lot of ideas. My plans are always up in the air. My plans for learning English are always up in the air. So you can definitely say that for English, for any kind of plan. My plans are up in the air. Well, can we use this for things that are not plans? Can we use today's idiom? Up in the air, up in the air. Can we use this in other situations? I think the most common is to talk about plans. My weekend plans are up in the air. My dinner plans are up in the air. I have no idea what I'm going to do. It's up in the air. Well, let's talk about how we can use it in situations that are not specifically talking about plans. Ooh, how about if we used it for a relationship? Oh, I think that Zuleikara and I were on the same wavelength here. He says, our relationship is up in the air. I was also thinking about relationships. We're thinking the same thing. We can use this for other uncertain things. So let's imagine that you and your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you're talking and it's not going so well. Your relationship hasn't been so steady. And when your friend asks you, oh, how are things going with your boyfriend? You could say, well, our relationship is kind of up in the air right now. We're not certain if we're going to stay together. We're not certain if it's a steady relationship. It's up in the air. So we can imagine this idea of a balloon. It's floating. It's not fixed in one location. So we could say our relationship is kind of, and here we can just add this to make it a little more uncertain, kind of up in the air at the moment. It means you're not certain. And it's a difficult place to be in. So I hope that your relationship is not up in the air. If it's up in the air, talk about it. Define your relationship. Decide what is happening. It makes it easier. Easier for your mind, easier for them as well. Eduardo asks, can we use sort of up in the air? Great question. And the answer is definitely yes, you can use that. So here we used kind of, but kind of and sort of are the exact same thing. So you can use kind of up in the air. And if you use this for your plans, maybe this weekend you have a plan to visit your family, but your husband's family calls and says, oh, do you want to visit us instead? Or do you want to visit us too? You could say, well, my weekend plans are sort of up in the air. I told my family I could come, but maybe I could see you instead. It's uncertain. So you can add any kind of word like this Definitely, certainly, sort of, kind of, not. You can add these kind of qualifiers to your expression to make it strong or not so strong. Igor says, my weekend plans aren't up in the air. I'm going to study English a lot. Beautiful. You've got plans for this weekend. Excellent. We have a question about other types of words that we can add in front of here. We have a question about my health is up in the air. My trip is up in the air. Our dinner is up in the air. So in this situation, you're talking about, let's talk about health. First of all, my health is up in the air. This is a more general concept. My health is up in the air. We could say this. It's possible and it's understandable. Maybe it's not the most common, but it's certainly not wrong to say my health is up in the air. It means you're not sure if you're healthy, you're not sure if you're not healthy, it's undecided. And let's imagine that you have some kind of a problem, maybe something more serious, like your arm hurts and the doctor, this happened to me in high school, I hurt my arm and the doctor said, you didn't break your arm, you pulled a muscle. Well, after 3 months of going to the doctor, another doctor said, oh yeah, you just broke your arm, you need a cast. And when I got a cast is the hard thing. After I got a cast, I felt better. It was perfectly fine. So the first doctor was wrong. But at the beginning, when I had the wrong diagnosis, I had some wrist therapy because the doctor thought that it was a muscle problem, not a bone problem. Well, thank you, volleyball. Volleyball helped me to break my wrist in high school. Don't worry, not now. But I can use this expression because we could say the diagnosis was up in the air. And this means the doctors can't decide. They don't know. The diagnosis is up in the air. Maybe I broke my arm. Maybe I sprained my arm. Maybe I pulled a muscle. They're not certain. So we could say the diagnosis. The diagnosis is up in the air. If we're going to talk about dinner, I recommend using dinner plans instead. My dinner plans are up in the air. I don't know what I'm going to do tonight. I don't know what I'm going to cook. Maybe I'll visit friends. Maybe I'll just eat a piece of toast. My dinner plans are up in the air. I agree, Eduardo. Eduardo has a good point that this expression is better used for thoughts or ideas. Yes, something that's not so physical or concrete. And I think that dinner is a good example for this because if we add my dinner plans are up in the air. That's great. No problem. My decision is up in the air. No problem. My trip is up in the air. This is not a physical thing. But if we say my dinner is up in the air, then someone might look, oh, really? Oh, is it possible? Someone might actually look up in the air if it's a physical thing. So let's keep this, I agree with your point, let's keep this to ideas, something that's not quite so concrete. Your plans, your trip is okay. My trip to Turkey is up in the air. Oh, cleaning, my plan to clean my house is up in the air. My plan to visit you is not in the air. My career plan is still up in the air. Oh, that's a great word to add here. Let's add another word, still. I guess I'll use another marker. Let's add still. Ooh. When we add still, it shows that you're trying to make a plan. My career plan is still up in the air. I have been trying to plan my career for the last 2 years, and it's still up in the air. I still have no idea what I'm gonna do with my life. Oh, we have some excellent sentences here. My Christmas dinner plans are up in the air. My plan for Easter is actually still up in the air. Thank you for sharing these sentences. My exam results are up in the air. Ooh, yes, that's similar to the diagnosis. They're not certain. They don't know what the result is actually going to be. It's up in the air. And often, let me give you a final tip for this expression. Often we use this just as a response to a question. If someone says, "What are you doing this weekend?" you could say, "I don't know. It's up in the air." What are you doing this weekend? I don't know. It's up in the air. So you can use this just by itself. And I think this is pretty common. In fact, this is how I used it last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, because I went to New York. I'd already talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago. I went to New York at the beginning of April, and a lot of people asked me, "What are you doing in New York? What are you gonna do? What's your daily plan?" And I only had one plan: visit my sister. Everything else was up in the air. So when someone asked me, "What are you gonna do in New York?" I said, "It's up in the air." And it doesn't mean my plan is up in the air. I actually did go up in the air, up into the One World Trade Center tower. It was beautiful, great view. So I physically went up in the air, but I'm not sure if our internet connection cut off or something, but we're back. Okay. I went up in the air, but my plan in New York was up in the air. So I just said, "It's up in the air." What am I going to do? It is up in the air. I have no idea. It's up in the air. So I have a final sentence that I'd like to say with you to help you use this, because there's quite a few words in this idiom. It's up in the air, or just up in the air. I want to help you say this and use it together. So let's say a sentence about English. Let's say something together. How about, my plans for studying English are not up in the air. My plans for studying English are not up in the air. This is a good dictation practice. Try to write exactly what I'm saying. Try to write this exact sentence. My plans for studying English are not up in the air. Up in the air. And notice we're not saying the air. We're saying the air. I've said that a lot during this lesson, so I hope that it feels comfortable to you. My plans for studying English are not up in the air. Thank you, Gabriella. You are the winner, the first person to write this sentence. My plans for studying English are not up in the air. And that means I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow Vanessa's live lessons Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Wonderful. And maybe you have a podcast that you love listening to. Great. You have a plan. Every day when I drive to work, I'm going to listen to that podcast. Or maybe you have a speaking partner. Every Saturday, I'm going to talk with that speaking partner. Your plans are not undecided. Your plans are decided. They're certain. My plans for studying English are not up in the air. So let's say this slowly. I want you to repeat with me. Repeat each word. Try to follow my pronunciation. And let's say it together. Are you ready? My plans for studying English are not up in the air. My plans for studying English are not up in the air. My plans for studying English are not up in the air. Really fast. My plans for studying English are not up in the air. Whew. All right. I hope you had some pronunciation muscle and speaking exercise today. My recommendation is to go back and try to read and say out loud each sentence that uses today's idiom that I used during our lesson. This is going to give you a broad context, some ideas for how to use this. And I hope that for you, you can integrate up in the air this idiom. I hope you can integrate it into your conversations. So instead of saying, I don't know, you could say, it's up in the air. If you want to say, I haven't decided yet, you could say, I don't know, it's up in the air. There are really a lot of situations where you can use that. Which dentist are you going to go to? I don't know, it's up in the air. What are you going to do this weekend? I don't know, it's up in the air. What are you going to eat for dinner? I don't know, it's up in the air. So I hope you can use this and integrate it into your conversations. And the next time that you hear it in a movie or a TV show, or if I use it, you'll realize, aha, I know what that means because I studied it. So thanks for learning with me. Thanks for taking time to improve your English. And if you would like to continue to learn with me, the good news is every Tuesday and Thursday, there's a live lesson. So please subscribe, click the subscribe button and the bell, and that way you'll get a notification whenever we have a live lesson. You can learn new idioms, phrasal verbs, or tips and ideas. If you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to write them in the comments. I'll try my best to give you some feedback. And if you would like to get my free email lessons and my free ebook, it's called 5 Steps to Becoming a Confident English Speaker. Thousands of English learners have enjoyed this free ebook and learn the 5 steps, the 5 things that you can do to help you feel more confident. Because learning vocabulary, learning idioms, those are great things. But if you don't have the confidence to use them, it's not going to help much. If you know everything, you have to have confidence to use it. So I hope that this ebook will help you to have confidence, help you start to know what you can do to gain more confidence. That's my goal for you. I hope you feel confident using up in the air today. I hope your confidence is not up in the air. So feel free to join me for our next live lesson or to read my ebook. I'll put the link on the screen and in the description below. Thank you everyone for joining me. I'll see you again the next time. Bye.